I know this review is late. I apologize greatly. There's been a lot of things going on lately, and I haven't had much time to film. Until today. Today, you are getting a bunch of rapid-fire reviews. This two-parter, 2 other SoniCX episodes, and a couple other extra stuff. I think you're going to have a great time with today's uploads, and I can only hope you continue to enjoy the content, despite, once again, the delay that was completely unplanned. And don't forget, Live and Learn. That's dropping December 20th, same day the movie comes out in the United States. I hope you guys are super excited for that cover. I'm super excited to make that cover. I've been wanting to do that song for a long time, and it's going to be the best way to end covers for 2024. But, screw that. Let's go back to 2004 and talk about this next episode of Sonic X, shall we? What's up, what's happening, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Station with Mr. Family. Make sure you click a hedgehog that runs faster and speed sounds for us TV and movies. I'm your host, Jasmine Small. Welcome back to SoniCemberX. Welcome to Beating Eggman Part 1 and 2, the first two-parter of the entire Sonic X show. And I don't think we're halfway through the season quite yet, so... But yeah, this is the first two-parter of the show, and while I personally think, after watching it again, it didn't need to really be a two-parter, it works well as a two-parter. This is a really good episode, and you know how it works with specials here, or two-parters, or whatever. They count for double the points. So whenever you see an out of 20 score, don't get confused. That's me counting both parts together. So, without further ado or delay, let's dive into it. Starting with part 1, I'm going to do more of a generalization because, like I said, I got to do these in rapid fire to get all caught up. So, I'm going to more do a generalization of what happens, talk about some of my favorite parts, and then go to my final thoughts, final verdict, and then see you next time for the next episode. I wish I could make this like a big 40-minute long video, but I just don't have the time for it. So, please excuse me for rushing, and I hope you still enjoy the review. Oh, and yeah, and as you can see, I found my anime reviewing hat again. Apparently, it was under my bed. So, alright, let's begin. So, we start with Sonic lying on the Thorndike Mansion rooftop reading a book. Yeah, it's Sonic reading a book. That is just a weird visual. I never took him for the type that reads books. I don't know. Maybe I need to do a little more research. Saying he's visited everywhere on Earth. And then Ella comes in with Cream and Cheese watching a show and gives them a snack. And then there's a broadcast by Jerome Wise, which is the president's assistant, which we'll talk about in another episode, where he announces that the president is about to strike against Eggman. And Eggman's watching from his base, and Knuckles is searching for a Chaos Emerald, and they all decide to just go after this emerald all at once. Aside from the president, his plan is to wait until Eggman leaves, and then attack the base with everyone he can manage, including Rouge, who's now officially an agent. So, that's the main setup. So we have Tails, Chris, Amy, and Chris's friend, Francis, joining in the X-Tornado to search for the third Chaos Emerald, which is in a farm field. Bit of a random choice, but okay. And then we have a lot of talking with Rouge, Topaz, the captain, the president, Jerome, and there's a lot of exposition dumping in this episode, and it is very boring. We're going to skip past it because I don't want to bore you. And then they explain a bunch of other nonsense. And we get the robot Fun, which is a giant duck with a fan, and the fan's able to somehow push the X-Tornado around. It's pretty much the best explanation I can give. So all of them get blown back by this robot, and then Sonic finally shows up, defeats the robot, and then they all converge on Eggman, because Eggman steals the Chaos Emerald again. I don't know why they let it happen so often. I guess just to set up for the big final confrontation. And Mr. Stewart does try to get involved again, but unfortunately he doesn't. At least not this time. He'll meet up in another episode with some of the other characters. So, but yeah, then they get back in the X tornado. Sonic hangs on to the. Sonic just sits on the nose as he usually does, and they all go off to face Eggman, who's cowarding back to his base after stealing the Chaos Emerald after Sonic destroyed his robot Fun Fun. Yes, Fun Fun is a very dumb name. So, overall, part 1, it's pretty good, I guess. It's a little hard to really say, because this first part is just a lot of exposition. Like, so much exposition. It makes your freaking head hurt. Like, if it weren't for the robot part and everything else happens in the second half of the episode, this would be like a 6 or a 5, because it spends so much time just dumping exposition about the plan to go to Eggman's base, or where the Chaos Emerald is, or how to get to the Chaos Emerald, or how this person's going to get to the Chaos Emerald. It is just so much talking, and it gets to the point of boredom. In other words, once again, it has the Attack on Titan problem. But the second half of the episode does save it. It does have a cool little short fight with Fun Fun. Again, stupid robot name, but whatever. And then you have everyone else converging on Eggman's base, setting up for the second part. The second part of this episode is freaking awesome. Like, this is the one I'm excited to talk about. So, let's jump gears over to part 2 of the episode and talk about the general parts there. That's enough. Biscuit. One sec. Biscuit, that's enough, buddy. Lay down. Thank you. Sorry, my piggy sometimes goes way too hard at his water. I don't know why he does it. It's weird. Anyway, let's continue into part 2, which is the amazing episode. I cannot control my guinea pig. One sec. Alright, let's continue. So, the plot is pretty much a whole convergence on Eggman's base. That's literally the entire plot. You have Rouge and the agents converging on the base, you have Sonic and his friends converging on the base, you have Eggman going back to his base, you have his 2 robot henchmen trying to defend the base, and him almost getting shot by rockets, which is pretty funny. And then that's pretty much the episode. Like, this one definitely has a simple story, but it's made up for by its action. Like, you have Rouge fighting Behemoth, you have a couple other robots from other episodes making reappearances for a brief moment, you have the base trying to defend itself against the attack. Like, it is just a whole lot of planning and a whole lot of crazy, crazy chaos. But this is when we get Gerhard versus Sonic. This is Sonic fighting against a robot powered by 2 Chaos Emeralds. And then once he realizes it's powered by 2 Chaos Emeralds, he destroys it immediately. You know Sonic. As soon as he figures out things, he immediately decimates the robot with no mercy. It's just how it goes. But then you have stuff like Rouge and the agents setting charges and then getting trapped in a room, but thankfully they also meet up with Knuckles, who helps them get out of the room before it explodes. And Eggman's base from the entirety of the past 12 episodes of the series is destroyed. So it's pretty much Team Sonic's first big victory against Eggman, and it's as epic and crazy as it sounds. Like, this part is like a 10 out of 10. Like, I love the second part of this 2-parter, and it really does save a majority of the episode overall, because the second part is full of just pretty much nothing but action. You have a little bit of talking here and there, like with Rouge and Topaz and their banter back and forth, which is continuing from Fly Spy, and it's still funny. And then you have their banter with Knuckles when he comes into the picture. And then you have Eggman almost getting shot by his own rockets, which is hilarious. And then you have Sonic battling against a robot powered by Chaos Emeralds and managing to win because he's Sonic. And everyone cheers Sonic on, and he's renowned a hero. In other words, they're going to touch on this in the next episode, but I'll just go ahead and talk about it a little here. In other words, he's going to get all the credit for destroying Eggman's base, while the president and everyone else gets nothing. Always the glory hog. Our speedy blue devil, always the glory hog. But, yeah, and this is also the episode that establishes Sonic's friends to the general public in Station Square, meaning that they do not have to hide anymore. Thank goodness that plot was running out of steam. But yeah, this was a really fun two-parter, and the second part's amazing. First part, way too exposition heavy. But overall, it's still a really good episode. I just feel like it could have been better if they cut back the exposition dumping a little bit. So, let's get into my final thoughts of this two-parter so we can move on to the next review. A pretty fun two-parter with a spectacular finale, and Rouge meets up with Knuckles for the first time in the series. But it starts incredibly slow, and Part 1 spends way too much time on exposition dumping, so egregious it makes Attack on Titan seem subtle in comparison. Like, this exposition dumping, it's really bad. It is very, very egregious. However, like I said, the finale with everyone converging on Eggman's base in one big battle more than makes up for it. It's a huge highlight of the season with some of the greatest action yet, along with more hilarious banter with Rouge and Topaz from Flies By, as well as great forwarding of the overall story. It didn't really need to be a two-parter. You could have easily made this like a 12-minute episode, a 22-minute episode pretty easily, rather than a 40-minute special, but it still turned in something quite solid and entertaining. Definitely check it out. My final verdict for the two-parter overall is going to be a 17 out of 20. It is a very good episode. It's a very enjoyable episode, but the exposition dumping does really hamper it. But if you take that out, most of it is really, really good. I think you'll really enjoy this, and if you don't mind the exposition, you're in for a really great episode. But if you do mind the exposition dumping, it's just good. But still, it's a two-parter, and for the first two-parter in the entire series, it is an impressive effort. So good job to everyone involved for all the good work they put in with this episode. Alright, that's it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more videos like this almost every single day. And I'll see you next time for probably one of the most beloved and sweetest episodes in Sonic X. That's what friends are for.
Listen, I will soon forget. So listen and you won't regret. Be true to yourself, don't miss your chance. And you won't end up like the fool who ripped his pants.